Hey, my name's Sean Shaler.
Oh, I was like,
That's Chris. You can't be sorry right when the episode starts. You haven't done anything wrong yet. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter semi fame, regular fame. We upgraded to regular fame years ago, and this is Avatar: The Last Podcasters. Today we're filling in a story gap in the Avatar universe. We're gonna discuss our desired endings for Azula. And Chris,
mm,
first and foremost, how you doing? How are you?
doing good, doing fine. I am me.
Peeking behind the curtain and asking you how you're doing. After I asked you how you're doing 10 minutes ago or whatever on the previous episode, will never feel not awkward to me. Peek behind the production curtain, Chris.
I've been playing more Oculus since you came over. I'm getting better at the football game. Uh, yeah.
It's it's not good. It's it's got an addicting quality where that you can do whatever that thing is better, right? Like it's got that one more try hook to it. And then it's not good. It does do a lot of things right, but there's also those things that it does wrong are that like fixable
Well,
things that give you hope.
I think I like playing it more than I like playing Madden. Like I don't like playing. I'm not a big Madden person because I don't know. I've just never been that into Madden. But I do like playing more than Madden. But like the things I got to realize about that football game is that you are just a QB. That's all you are. You can't call. You can only do what a QB does. You take the plays up from whoever the OC, and then you can audible, and then you can you can run and scramble and stuff like that.
First, I did used to like Madden and college football games up around, I'm going to say 2008, 2009, when things shifted to the
Mhm.
PS3 and they started optimizing things for the PS3, and I was still kind of in PS2 mode. But things got a lot more complex. So that was kind of cut
Mm.
off. Like, '08 is a great football game. After that, I feel like it goes downhill. Uh, Two is that, man, they should make it like you remember how in NBA Jam, if you like created a character and you played over and over again, you got to like up your own stats. Like we need this to be
Yeah.
like a quarterback RPG. Like you play, you
Yes.
get
Yes.
stronger arm, more accurate, like an arcade mode,
Absolutely.
and then we would be even more hooked, right? Like I got one more game, I'm gonna up my passing strength. I got one more game, and then we would just never play anything else. But I would agree that I enjoyed this more than I have enjoyed a recent football game, and I like football games plenty. So come on, EA,
And you like ping
get some right.
pong. And you like ping pong, right?
Ping pong was too real, almost too too real. Uh, and at first, I still wasn't good. But when I was over there, I was playing, and I didn't know you could adjust the eyes in the Oculus. I figured there'd be like a binoculars, like a thing on top,
Mhm.
and there wasn't. I was like, oh, I'll probably my eyes will adjust, but it was like so blurry. And then you're like, oh, you
Mm.
can
All
push
right.
the eyes together, and you did that. It's like so much easier to tell where my paddle is supposed to be when your eyes are in the right spot. Ping pong is the perfect, like, just entry quick VR game. It just works.
Yeah.
So
It's weird.
come on, EA, make us give us the NBA Jam of quarterbacking, and everybody will love that. That is not like a Sean bias thing. Everybody would love that. It was a good time though. Chris, talk to us about Azula endings.
Yes. So this whole conversation, there's been a lot of conversation recently about Azula and should she have a redemption arc? Should she not? And a lot of this is coming from she has a new book coming out, and the book is called Azula in the Spirit Temple. And so, the synopsis of the book is what is drawing a lot of interest from people.
Chris, is
So,
it a
in the
book or a graphic
synopsis,
novel?
it's a comic book. Sorry,
Okay.
it's just like one of those short comic books that like Suki alone,
Okay.
Katara and the pirates, whatever. Oh yeah, I should say this. I don't think we're getting anything from this book. I don't think this book is gonna do anything to to change the character of Azula, because it's a pretty small comic. Like, not that much can happen in it.
Nothing that we're about
But
to
yeah,
say is going to be validated or invalidated by this book.
exactly. Yeah. But the synopsis is comic summary: a brand new standalone comic story from the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Azula continues her destabilizing campaign against the Fire Nation and her brother, Fire Lord Zuko. But after a failed attack on her latest target, Azula finds herself in a mysterious forest temple inhabited by a solitary monk. Or is it something more mysterious? Azula must confront her past and finally face her chance at redemption. Written in consultation with Avatar Studios, the veteran team of Faith Aaron Hicks, Peter Wortman, and Adele Matera is back with a new story in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So that's why, just the sheer word redemption has everyone's nooks and crannies and has the people talking. So today, me and Sean decided to each give our desired ending for Azula, or in pretty much the parameters around it was it could be a redemption arc, it could be a full-on villain arc, it could be a semi-redemption arc, it could be whatever we wanted, wherever we desired to see our story end. So Sean, I will let you go first.
Absolutely. So I took big picture. I don't know what level of detail you're going to approach this with, but Chris, I don't want Azula is a great villain. I don't want her to have a redemption arc because I want her to remain just because I want her to remain a villain. I think she has good motive and good power to remain a villain. I keep thinking of a Batman Joker type relationship. I mean, you've got an
Mm.
Avatar who's not going to kill her, right? So there's almost always going to be some opportunity for escape other than
Yeah.
energy bending. Like, okay, fine, whatever. But
I think Aang is hesitant to energy bend, especially after events in sorry, I'm interrupting. Especially after some events in some of the comic books. Like Katara tells him like when you like taking away a person's bending is almost just as bad as killing a person. So I think Aang is very reluctant to take away anyone's bending.
I'm glad you interrupted with that because it's important to remember that I don't know anything about the comic books, and that kind of validates some of my thought process of you could really have a tremendous Batman and Joker relationship for a long time here, fueled by that she is so powerful and she's so young and adaptive, right? It's not even like she's at her physical peak. She's got a lot that she could learn and grow. She could dig in her heels into more of a chaotic stance, like okay, the Fire Nation fell, but she still has supporters out there. She's going to have Fire Nation
Mm,
supporters. She probably military support to some degree would certainly be like, yeah, we
yeah.
hate Zuko. This sucks. And they could just go for more of a throw the world into chaos vibe, dig into their heels, like a pre-Zahir, but with like not as good of intentions if you can follow that drift.
Okay, yeah. No, I do, yeah.
And so that's like the immediate future is it's very easy to see some kind of coup that gets her out and keeps her active, even if she's like an army without a country. But
Hmm.
but she's so good and so potent that I just see that evolving over time. Maybe Aang and Zuko take it down this time, but she is a type of villain that I just feel is good enough that she would adapt and she would go find the next thing. You could convince me that she could go back to like the Dai Li or like alliance with a different nation altogether and kind of a surprise like, hey, we haven't heard from Azula for a while. Is she locked up? No. Oh, she suddenly
Mm.
turned up in the Earth Kingdom. And like you could convince me that they could do this for like literal decades. She could be we've seen people live really long times in the
Yeah.
Avatar universe. Uh that not that she would kill Aang, but like, can you see her have it like on like the I don't know somehow being related to like early chaos in Republic City? Even you can
Mm.
see that, and then somehow meeting her demise in there. But that my biggest takeaway is just that I don't want her to have a redemption arc because I do think she seems like the type who would dig her heels in further, and she
Hmm.
could get some kind of I'm gonna go D&D language and say that kind of chaotic evil support. Like I don't have the country to fight for now. I'm just trying to take down the world because the world is bad, and I want to just display a power. I don't know how I want it to end, and I want to tie it to Republic City somehow or other, that her demise is somehow related to early Republic City, or to just the early chaos of Republic City. I don't really want to redo canon, but like I want it to be tied to that somehow, so that like Aang's not the one that kills her, but she dies in some kind of a what do you call it? That, like a Mexican standoff, right? Like three people all pointing the
Yeah.
guns at each
I
other.
mean, they have there's gangs in Republic City, and
That's
so they have some type of origin.
that. Yeah. So maybe one of the gangs is essentially her kind of remnants of the last followers of an aging Azula, who's still not that old, for the record. Like 60-year-old Azula is probably still very potent Azula. And so that's how I would want her to meet her end, is sort of by other violence, like by the next villains, by Yakon's people, something to that
Mm.
degree. But at the end, just a constant back and forth, um, gets captured and escapes, or manages to escape. Aang at the last moment regroups, new home, new plot, new evil.
Mm.
Uh, that's just mad respect for her style, really, is what it is.
No, I really like a lot of places together. I'm not on mute, am I?
No, you got it.
Okay. Uh, I'm just scared for some reason. Go on. I was really looking forward to this conversation. You went a lot of good places there, Sean. This might be your best, like, I don't know, thought process writing, I think.
I just watched
Maybe
Super
I'm just
Pet
saying that
yesterday, and I've been thinking about Batman a lot. So Super Pet's inspired me.
maybe I'm so enticed by the I feel like you maybe you're trying to manipulate me, but you said Batman Joker, and so you had me at Batman and Joker.
Mostly that just
Because
came from the
there's
idea that you've got this villain that like that the hero can't get rid of permanently.
mm,
Uh,
yeah,
that's I mean it's
like
kind
Heath Ledger, like you think about what Heath Ledger says, Joker says at the end of The Dark Knight, like, so this is what happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force. And then he also goes on to say, like, I think me and you are destined to do this forever. Then Batman says, you'll be in a padded jail cell forever. And he's like, maybe we could share one. And like that kind of ideal of these these two entities of Zuko and Azula just can't ever get over each other, and they can't ever stop one another, and it's just a lifelong battle between good and evil.
Zuko will never truly be the head honcho for the entire Fire Nation as long as Azula's alive or whatever.
Mm.
I didn't want it to influence it too much, but then that was also like I might have let the Batman Joker influence like my direction a little too much,
Yeah.
but just the idea that Azula could exist as sort of a purely chaotic entity feels plausible. Like you could probably craft a smoother narrative for her, but for her to just become an agent of chaos feels believable to me. So,
I
but
mean,
that's where the
she's
analogy ended.
definitely just her and a couple of things. In the comic book, she becomes a little bit more chaotic. I want to say a little bit more unhinged. Although she does at a point get more get less like crazy that she wasn't in the series, but she's still kind of shifty. But there's a really cool panel where she's like in a straitjacket, right? And like she's stuck in a straitjacket, and she leaps towards Zuko, and and uh, Ty Lee's there as a Kyoshi warrior, and Ty Lee, she blocks her, so she can't do anything. And then out of nowhere, Azula unleashes an arm and like zaps towards Zuko, because Azula's like, "Oh, Tylee, I've been chi blocked by you once, and I figured out like I purposely manipulated you to chi block me so that my arms would go limb and I could get out of the straight jacket." And attack Zuko. It's a such a kind of comic booky kind of chess kind of deal going, and it's very chaotic.
I think she needs those like super turbulent years to like I don't think she can come sort of completely unhinged like an army or whatever. Loyal Fire Nation people would have to still
Hmm.
see her as like a viable leader. So I think she needs these kind of
Yeah.
turbulent, chaotic, but like privately insane
Mm.
and years, and
Mm.
then somehow kind of controlling that or overcoming that to some degree, and channeling that into chaos. Um,
Yeah.
so even that kind
I
of
like,
fits okay.
yeah. I don't know. I like where we went. I like that we did this very separately because we went in a weird way. I am like with you 60%. I went a much different route. Um,
Let me
so
have it.
I agree. I we agree that she'll continue trying to destabilize the Fire Nation, and she'll keep building support. She'll probably in my head she's been trying these kind of small things, right, just to continue being a nuisance to Zuko, kind of keeping him off his game. But she's actually building a bigger plan. And in my story, it will take. It'll, for some reason, I thought about this. It'll be a novel. It'll be Azula will have her own novel because I don't think. I mean, sure, there's an. I don't think there's. I don't think Azula could have her own movie unless it was like a Zuko Azula movie. But she could definitely have a novel. Uh, and this novel would take place 5 years in the future. So 5 years after the comics. So right now in the comic books, Azula is like she was she's like 17 right now in the comics. Um, right, yeah, because comics are current place of comic books is about 3 years after the end of the series. So then 5 years after that, she is like 22. And she's gathering. She's trying to gather an army. So she's gathering support from the Fire Nation, gathering support from like Dai Li agents. She's gathering support from from the Fire Nation colonies in the Earth Kingdom, and some of those people are actually Earth Kingdom citizens, right? But also within that army, she's putting together an elite group of benders, or not a bender, but just an elite group of fighters. Um, there will be one Yuyan archer who's the best of the best. Um,
Money
there will be
mercenaries, right?
Azula.
Like he's like motivated by money.
Yeah. Um, uh, I don't want to make this too much like the Red Lotus, but she'll also have a an Earthbender who can lava bend because more lava benders I think would be cool just to introduce that earlier in the universe in Legend of Korra. So my little tagline of the story is like if I was to write my own synopsis is Azula still on the loose forms a small army led by an elite group to retake the Fire Nation. She's been meticulously planning this attack for 5 years, but she didn't plan on falling in love. All right, so that's I'm misleading here. The falling in love is misleading, right? So she does find out Earthbender, Lavabender, and
So I was just thinking of the John Mulaney joke where it's
I
like
know, right?
it's
That's exactly where I was. That's a,
this summer love is spelled with
Love
two
spelled with
eyes.
two eyes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought I got a cough. Sorry.
Oh jeez.
Hey, there we go. But no, I had the same thought. Um. So anyway, so in this whole planning and stuff, she finds an Earthbender. Don't know what his name is, but he's also a lava bender because he's half Fire Nation, half Earth Kingdom, but that doesn't make him a lava bender. The thing is, I would hate this because it will put more proof to the fact proof that lava benders have split heritage, even though that's not why. Like Bolin can lava bend, but if I had another person like that, then people would just be like, oh well, if you want to be a lava bender, you have to have a firebender parent and
Maybe you could use this to disprove that specifically, because somebody could ask and be like, "Oh, so your parents were fire and earth, and that's
no,
why
but
you're lava," and he could just be like, "No, I'm an earthbender."
it makes in the context of this story, it makes more sense that like his mother would be a firebender because his mother would have instilled into him like the Fire Nation was like trying to rule the world. Like she would have instilled into him a rich history of the Fire Nation. We can just like
But maybe
use
his
Mazan's
bending comes,
history.
his lava bending comes from earth bending
Well, yeah, it
movements,
does.
and right, so
Yeah.
that's what he's like. No, I'm
Well,
an
it comes
earth
because it's
bender. So it would
yeah.
like feel the fire, pun intended. But then you just use this to chop that theory
People.
down. Say no, he's an earthbender. It's just a
I mean, it
coincidence.
was people would still
Of course
be
they would.
like, "Oh, well, you have to have
People
firebend."
would still say
I
it.
still,
They'd still say
I still
it.
need it. I still need it though for the story because it supports the story that he has split heritage.
John
But anyway,
Mulaney likes
so
bowls? Question mark. They'd say it.
so Azula and this Fire Nation. Sorry, I need to give him a name. I'm gonna call him Rozukin because it
Young
wasn't used
Rozukin, yeah.
for Zeta. Uh, so uh, Rozukin is attracted to
John
Azula
Rozukin is the
because
John Doe of
no, this
Fire
is what
Nation.
Rozukin is attracted to Azula. Coincidence, his mother was also a fiery Fire Nation. Uh, been conversation from the last episode
Perfect.
about anyway.
Fantastic. I
so,
can't.
so
Hold on, I got one more. This is going to become a movie, and WB is going to put it out under the DC label, and they're going to call it Azula Side Squad.
Azula side. Oh god. That's good. Anyway, so Rozukin and them and Rozukin and Azula don't fall in love, but it's probably the closest thing to love that Azula could even grasp the concept of. But I want to make that clear. Azula does not love him. But 22 things happen anyway. So they have this. They hook up. Is what I'm trying to say. But Azula doesn't love him. Anyway, they have this plan that Zula's been meticulously planning because Zula is like one of the greatest strategists, right? She's been doing all these side things to mess with Zuko and stuff
She's got
to
a
throw
lot of
him off
time
his
on her
course.
hands before this.
A lot of time. This is 5 years. This is a plan 5 years in the making. Give her 5 years, she can come up with a plan to over to form a coup or something. And like you said, it is around Republic City because Zuko's probably spending a lot of time in Republic City. That is almost their monument to ending the war, to defeating the Fire Nation. Of course, she is going to destroy that. And also, it will draw Zuko to her so that she can take out Zuko. So she has this 5 year plan built. I don't have the intricacies of the plan, but just know it's a foolproof plan and probably some
She'll figure it out.
yes. But part of that plan, step whatever of that plan, is that they get into a fight with Team Avatar, right? A couple months after Azula hooks up with Rozukin. Right, they're in a fight with Team Avatar and stuff, and Toph is there. Toph is fighting Azula, and Toph is like, "Wait, what is that?" And Toph, like, Aang is going Avatar state, right? He's like, "I'm ending this, Azula," and like he's about to like attack Azula, and Toph is like, "Aang, stop! Don't!" And then like right before Aang attacks Azula, Toph yells out, "She's pregnant!" Right? Because Toph can hear the other heartbeat in Azula. I stole that from. Uh, there's a really great scene in Injustice comic book where Superman wakes up and he's like with Lois, and he's like, "Lois, you're pregnant." She's like, "What do you mean I'm pregnant?" She's like, "Lois, I hear two heartbeats in you." Uh,
And you're gonna tell her
spoiler
like
alert.
that, Clark? Come on, man.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Lois dies with the child. Very tragic. Superman then turns evil and takes over the whole world. Because, and also speaking of Joker, the Joker. So I think I told you about this time before. Great story. The Joker is like tired of keep getting beat by Batman, and so he's like, "I'm gonna go F with Superman." So then he kidnaps Lois Lane, gives Superman the location somehow, or he makes sure Superman knows the location. Superman dives into this room. There's Scarecrow fear toxin everywhere, laced with kryptonite. Superman then sees Doomsday. He's like, "Oh, so this is your plan." And he takes Doomsday up to space. And as he gets to space, the Scarecrow toxin is weighing off of him. And he looks, he's in space. And he's like, "Oh crap!" And it's Lois. He accidentally kills Lois, his wife, who was pregnant with
That's messed
the
up.
like the last very messed up. And also Lois's heart happens to be connected to some type of bomb, and the bomb, and once her heart stops beating, the bomb destroys all of Metropolis. And the Joker just laughs at it all. And then and then like Batman is like interrogating Joker, and Batman's like, why did you uh do this? Like, it's always been between me and you. He's like, Batman, I always lose against you. I decided I want to play this game on easy mode for once. Like, one thing that's so messed up. That's like Batman is like so hard for the Joker that fighting Superman is on easy mode for him.
Well, but Joker,
And
the super Joker is such a bad matchup for Superman.
yeah, yeah, and uh, and there's a great another great scene where, in that same interrogation, Joker's like, terrible things happen to you and me to make us who we are. Like, we were just men. What do you think what do you think this is going to turn Superman into? And Batman's like, he's going to be the same honorable man I know him to be. And then boom, right there, Superman crashes through and punches the Joker, punches his arm through the Joker, killing the Joker. And after that point, Superman is like, I tried to do things right. And then he goes into a tyrannical tyrant, and Batman has to save him somehow. And then, anyway, all chaos. Back to this story that I'm not done telling with
Which
Azula.
is, I
So,
mean, that's a good tie-in for an Azula plan, though.
yeah. So Azula, one, they're all shocked. Toph says everyone Azula's pregnant. And in this whole shocking stuff, Aang stops the Avatar saying, and one thing, Aang is like almost, mad at himself because he almost attacked Azula, and thus, even though he wouldn't have killed Azula, he probably would have killed Azula's unborn child. So Aang goes through some type of character arc with that, through matching his power with the Avatar state and stuff like that. That part's not important. Um, but Azula and her gang gets away. And Azula is now like, she's so confused by being pregnant. Like, it's not, and she starts thinking about the future and everything. She starts, but then like she still has to plan though. She's like, so this is the part where I said she didn't plan on falling in love. The love part was her unborn child. So anyway, they still want to go through the plan, and the plan involves chaos, if you will, like the whole throwing the whole world into chaos. And Rozukin still wants to go through with the plan, and they are still planning to go through with it. But Zula's tormented with it because Zula's like, what do I weigh more, like making the world in the way that I want it to be, or living a world that my unborn child could live in? Because I can't live in a world of chaos. So she has to tackle between those two things. By the end of it, they get into another big battle with Team Avatar and stuff. Things go exactly to Zula's plan, and then there's a certain crossroads where Zula decides to betray Rozukin and ends up helping Team Avatar defeat him, and she gives up her plans of chaos. Not that she Azula comes to terms that she doesn't need all the power in the world, right? She doesn't need to be the one in charge, but also that she is not capable enough to take care of this child. And this child she gives to Zuko, and Zuko adopts it because Azula knows that Azula used to be so proud. Like, she would be too proud to admit that she needs help of someone else to take care of her own responsibilities. But at this point, she would have gone through this character arc of realizing that power and stuff isn't everything. So she wouldn't turn into a full redemption arc. But I think after this point, she would go back into into asylum, get the help that she needs to fully recover. And I don't think she will commit to anything. I don't think she'll be a hero. I don't think she'll be a villain. I think she will reconcile herself to just being person. And that is something that Azula has never allowed herself to be. Like she always looked down at people with no power and things. But now Azula realizes that the world is bigger than her, that the future is bigger than her, and she loves her daughter Izumi so much that she's willing to give that up to Zuko, who she entrusts with her life. So that's how my Azula story would end. Non triumphantly, non in any sort of way, good or bad, but she regales herself to a life of normalcy and admitting that she needs help.
So our flashpoint for Azula, we do our next what if chat, is she's going through her Zuko like metamorphosis at some point. Pregnant mom. And our flashpoint is that somehow in your story the baby lives and she tries to become more responsible, and then mine it gets real dark and
Oh
somehow or other
crap!
the baby dies, and then that pushes her. So when Zuko goes through his painful metamorphosis, and eventually he comes out on the other side good and whatnot. But Azula, like, no, she's like trying to metamorphose into this better creature, or at least this apathetic creature, and then her baby dies and she goes John Wick on the world, the whole world, Chris.
That's a little too dark. Too dark.
This, Chris, you almost had Aang kill a baby. Aang, and mine's too dark. It could have died from any number of reasons. And then Azula comes out with John Wick finger lightning guns and just starts blasting. And listen, everybody's gonna ask for a rated R Azula movie. You said you didn't want an Azula movie. I want a rated R Azula movie now. Just kidding. I don't want that. But I can see
to get killed or something. Not
just a dog, not a person. No. Don't read anything into what I just said in any direction. Chris, I can see though how we have similar structures that do at a certain point. They really are similar up to a certain point where we do break off, and yours maybe not redemption, but what did you say? You described it very nicely. As a non-gratifying, non-violent, and then in mine she goes
non-triumphant. It's a quiet
non-triumphant, yeah. And then mine she goes the other direction. I like that because either way we get more Azula in reality, and as we do get more villain Azula in reality. It's just whether or not you want to see that cut off a little early, or if you just want to see her battle Aang until the end of time, a.k.a. another 45 years. The end of their times. I'm good with either one.
Hey, I am too.
Chris, well constructed. Good idea. Good thought process. I would love it if... I would love to know what other people think down in the chat. Especially if you have... if you have good redemption, since neither of us went the true redemption. If you have really good redemption thoughts of where's the motive? How does it happen? What does it look like? Give us that especially, but give us all your thoughts. We'd love to hear what your takes on this would be. How should Azula end? Where, when, how? What state is she in? Let us know down in the comments, and click any other buttons down there that you're willing to. Sub buttons, likes, comments, ratings, whatever you're willing to share with us. We're very grateful. Yeah, we're extremely grateful that you're here listening or watching in the first place. Chris, if you don't have any other final thoughts. My name's Shawn.
So.
No, my name's Shawn Taylor. That's the artist currently known as Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter. And this has been Avatar: The Last Podcasters. We'll talk to you next time. I almost said happy Valentine's Day, but that was last week. Happy late February.
Happy day.
Happy day.
Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day.
Happy day.
Is that Sister Act 2, right? Where they, I mean, I know it's not literally from, but you're thinking of Sister Act 2.
Of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We talked about Sister Act 2 before on episode.
Great movies. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great week.
Jesus, why?
I really wish I had the motivation to go sub out the closeout music with that song.
Watch my sins.
People like halfway asleep by the end of the episode, they hear this, they're like, what?